I don't want to live a life I regret. As far as I know, I'm only going to get one shot at living in a human body, and I want to make the most of it while I'm here. Even though I think I'm making the most of my time here by working on myself, creating relationships, and building a fulfilling career, I'm still functioning with a huge blind spot. I'm only 25. How will I look back on my life when I'm about to croak and be buried 6 feet deep, and will I have accumulated a laundry list of regrets? I wanted the answer to be a positive one, so I came up with an idea. I may not be able to know the right things to focus on to live a life with little to no regrets, but there are people who do. Old people. So that was my mission. Interview people significantly older than me, get to know their life stories, and ask them what their biggest regrets are so I can avoid creating those same mistakes while I'm young. The first issue that I had to tackle was finding older people to actually get in front of a camera and allow me to interview them. Since the average age of people where I live in Austin, Texas is on the younger side, using my usual tactic of just walking up to people and asking them to be in an interview seemed out of the question. So I decided to call a place where I knew old people liked to chill. A nursing home. Hi, my name is Cole Hastings. I'm a YouTuber. I wanted to do an interview with some of your residents to ask them their biggest regrets in life. Is that something that is possible for me to do today? After many calls that ended in either a rejection or an answering machine, I had no other choice but to try and find some people in public. And it worked, but not without its failures. But before we get into those failures, let me share with you the responses that I did get. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
So old that Moses himself wore short pants when I was a kid. How do you say you're old? I'm as old as dirt, but a lot cleaner.
I'll take that. So what was your upbringing like as a kid?
I grew up in Port Aransas, Texas, right outside of Corpus Christi, so I was on the beach a lot, playing in the sand dunes with our friends, running around the island.
I grew up in a hand-built redwood house in the finest beach community in all of North America called Del Mar, next to San Diego, California. I was surfing before I could take the training wheels off my bike. So I was really handsome. I was a golden boy, a young Dionysus, an Apollo. My mom's from Siberia. She identifies as indigenous. My father is Kwakiutl Sahalish Haida, Indian shaman prince. I am an Indian shaman prince. And there was never an argument, no alcoholism, no drug abuse, no violence, no screaming, no nothing. It was just storytelling, TV, and happiness.
Yeah, no, I took the alternative route, to be quite honest. I performed really well in school. I was always at the top of my class, and I was always thought of as a bright student and things like that. And I got a scholarship right out of school. Actually, I went to college when I was in high school still, and I completed quite a bit that way. And then I got out, and I went to school for one more year, but then I experienced unplanned pregnancy. I became a dad, and so I had to rearrange my life. I was like 18 or 19 years old, and I had to pull it together.
As a young adult in Port Aransas, I waited tables at the different restaurants, and then I moved to Austin, and my first job was at Threadgill's restaurant, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then I got a job at a law firm just as a runner. In college, I took a semester, which I didn't quite complete. I started waiting tables in Port Aransas, and I was making so much money that I didn't even finish. So I don't have a college degree.
I am the recipient and the holder of a dual advanced BA honors degree in existential philosophy as well as in English literature from a prestigious Canadian university, the University of Victoria, with higher scholastic standards and more rigorous scholastic approach and demands than anything in America. So I've made money and I've lost money, and now I'm coming back from being swindled out of my life savings by a girlfriend.
So you don't necessarily regret not getting a formal education?
So in some ways I feel fortunate because all of a sudden I was just kind of forced to do something, right? And to be quite honest, I'm still benefiting from the actions that I did now today. It made me get my life in order in a way that I probably frankly couldn't have done without that whole experience. So, something that may seem like, a really massive hurdle or a really big challenge, or, your life gets derailed. You don't necessarily know in the end what's going to happen. I think that was the thing for me.
I love my life. I have 4 kids, and we're always doing stuff. I was flying by the seat of my pants with trying to raise my kids, but they're all functioning adults, and I'm really grateful for that. So.
What are your biggest life regrets?
Actually, I'm probably the best person because I will be your weight counterweight. I will be the counterweight. My life is more ridiculously happy and fulfilling than any 67-year-old Siberian Haida Indian usually is allowed to have in society. Just because I get to play this music, I get to cleanse my soul on a daily basis. I get to travel around the world doing this, and people throw money at me.
I do wish I would have finished college, so I do have that regret a little bit. And I regret that I was always flying by the seat of my pants, raising my kids when they were younger. But we were a good clan and we made it through. I just always stand back in awe of my kids. None of them are, PhDs or lawyers or doctors or anything, but they're all very functioning. They have beautiful families. So I feel like I've really been blessed in that area.
To be quite honest, I don't know if I'm really the person to be able to answer that. I think that for the most part, I've always done whatever my inner self tells me to do, is always what I felt is right and true, and I've always lived to that. Anytime I've ever strayed from that a little bit, I've always regretted it.
So what would be like your biggest piece of advice, if you have anything that you wish you would have took as a kid, as a guy my age even?
To listen to your inner self, because you'll know what you shouldn't be doing or what you should be doing. Always go to your heart first, and then be very careful with your words and how you use them towards people.
So those were the people that I managed to get to agree to do the interview with me. I was out there for like 3 or 4 hours. I must have asked like 15 to 20 old people, and it was just no, no, no. And ironically, my lack of a large pool of responses made me regret even trying to make this video in the first place. But then I started to reflect on the types of things that these 3 characters and personalities said to me. The Renaissance man who had traveled the world, made tons of money and lost it all. The mother who grew up struggling to take care of her children, but paved her way eventually. And the man who had an unexpected child very young in life, but still enjoyed the journey. Despite them all having different upbringings and unravelings of their own lives, they didn't really have any regrets to share. If these people, who have seen almost everything that life has to offer, and who have gone through more pains, rejections, and failures than I can even comprehend, have no regrets when looking back at their life, then why do I feel like I'll regret something as simple as not getting enough people to do this interview? And that was when I realized something. Something that I fundamentally know deep down is how you live a life without regrets, but I rarely remember to practice. And that is to just simply enjoy whatever this experience of life has to offer me, and to stay true to who I am. If you noticed, all 3 of these people had something to say about trusting your inner self. And although that is an extremely ambiguous term, I feel as though I understand what they were trying to say. Your inner guidance has nothing to do with any material gain, and everything to do with what you feel will bring you joy and fulfillment. When you watch videos similar to this one about very old people sharing their biggest life regrets, you'll never hear them say anything related to money or status. And that's what I think this inner guidance is, finding meaning and fulfillment in every moment by doing what you feel is right deep down. And yeah, it does sound incredibly corny, but I feel as though people around my age are programmed to become obsessed with getting the best career that makes the most money, or makes them the most friends, or gives them the highest status, even if it's not what they really want to do. And you have to attain all of that to truly be happy.
And I am incredibly bitter, and I could rip a new asshole for all these people who are so narcissistic and short-sighted. I'm ashamed of America at this point. If this is the microcosm of the macrocosm, then it doesn't bode well for the future. Most of these people are phone zombies, endangering the lives of pedestrians, moms with walkers and toddlers, and skateboarders and bicyclists.
No matter how much you accomplish in this lifetime, eventually that's all gonna fizzle out. And when that happens, you'll be forced to ask yourself this question: what will be left? Thinking about your goals for your future and setting up a life for yourself is of course massively important, but thinking of each moment as a privilege, just like how you did when you were a kid and society wasn't forcing a certain future-based way of thinking and lifestyle down your throat, makes those things that one would usually see as super regretful, super enriching and fulfilling, no matter how things pan out in the end. So the answer to getting out of my regretful state for trying to do these interviews and kind of failing wasn't to have never tried to do the interviews at all, but instead to have been focused on the opportunity and joy of connecting with others, getting to spend a day outside doing what I love to do, and taking in that moment for what it was. an enriching life experience. If you can go into everything you do with that sort of intention and mindset, then I promise you that whatever type of shit that life throws at you, or whatever you attain or don't attain materially, the regrets that you have at the end of your life will be minimal to none. So again, I ask you this question: what will be left? Thank you very much to all my patrons on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube where you can find exclusive content from me, and you can talk to me one-on-one over the phone on there. If you want to check that out, patreon.com/Cole Hastings in the description. If you felt the lesson in this video, but you want to feel it at an even deeper level, watch this video. I promise you, after you watch that video, it will really sink into your head. I'm signing out. Love you guys. Peace.